Hello, hello. So before we jump into module 4, I was so quick to end the last module. I remember I wanted to show you the website that I built using Lovable, and this is the website. Remember, for the very first video in this course, I talked about my nonprofit, Happy, and here is it right here. Okay. I built this website. This is not a landing page. Built this website using lovable.dev. And I have a home page, I have an about page. See how easy navigation. Like Lovable even helped you if you wanted to increase the text size on this website. See, one click and it would. See? Very, very like the ease of use, the user interface, user experience is top notch. And I can go back down if I wanted to. If I wanted a high contrast, I could do that. If I don't want it, I'll click off of it. And then student chapters, it highlights the student chapters here. And you can see even incorporate photos. Now, mind you, I also had to use another AI platform, a coding AI platform to help me code the website, particularly the images at some points, like in the subsequently, when I needed to update certain things, I was using the code. I'm trying to remember the name of the coding platform right now. I cannot remember. But you guys hold me accountable and help me, like remind me to tell you the additional AI tool, particularly the one that I used to code subsequently whenever I needed to make changes. Yeah, I owe you that one just for your future knowledge and uh as you continue to build on what you're learning in this course. And then, included past projects here too. See how everything is put together nicely. And then also include like current events and past events. Everything is right here. Okay. Upcoming events, past events, everything is there. So this, and when I need to update, it is that coding tool that I use as well to update the websites, which means this website that you're about to build can be updated. And this is a real life example. Okay. So now we're going to move over to module 4. And as I said earlier, module 4 is all about content marketing that actually works. What do you need to know about that? Again, I'm not here to teach you anything content marketing related because at this point, you've learned content writing, you've learned content creation. Remember, digital marketing is the umbrella. So everything that I'm doing here is to reinforce what you have learned. Do you understand? So here I'm going to talk about content strategy versus creation, which at this point you should already know. You should be masters in that, except if we switch the order of things depending on the year that you're watching. Content types, storytelling for brands, content calendars and consistency, and AI assisted content. And how do you responsibly use AI? We'll talk about that in this module. So first of all, what's the difference between content strategy and content creation? At this point, you guys can even teach me this, okay? I expect that. And most brands, they jump straight to creating content without really thinking about the strategy behind that content that they're about to create. And the problem is with that is when you start creating anything without proper strategy, you flop. And you don't even have a standard to measure what you're doing by. But when you have a strategy, you can always go back to the strategy and see, are we doing what we said we would do? Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? So strategy is the first thing. For those of you who are going to be social media managers for businesses, whenever you get a client, the first thing is to put together a strategy document. If there's no strategy, creation should not even start in the first place. So when you're thinking of putting together a content strategy, which you should also do for your campaign, why? Why are we even putting together this strategy in the first place? What's the point? Who? I've already talked about who so many times. I'm just going to move on. What? What topics are we covering? In what format? Blog posts, carousels, reels. Okay. Where? What channels? Also, I've talked about channels, so I'm going to skip this, keep going as well. When? How often do we want to post? 3 to 4 times a week? Once a week? And how do we measure success? Which means you need to build SMART goals, even in your strategy document. And then once that is done, then the content creation aspect is now where you now start to create the content bit of the content aspect of your content strategy. So you now start to write the blog post, you start to write the email copy, the product descriptions, you start to design the visuals, you put together the videos and audios as needed, and then polls and whatnot. Okay. So that is the difference. So you see that without a strategy, you can create content, sure, but you're just setting yourself up for failure because if you don't have the strategy in place, there's nothing to measure what you're doing by. And you're just going off of vibes. And that's not the best way to do things. It's not, at least if you want a sustainable brand, you don't want to go off of vibes, you want to go off of strategy that actually works. Okay. So now, what are the different content types that we have, and when do you need to use each of them? Remember when I talked about the customer journey? Remember? From aware, they're getting more aware about your brand, and then they start to consider it, and then they make a decision and then retain. Remember the first steps? Okay. So I have four different content types here. This is not to say these are the only content types. You have a whole lot more content types. Okay. So for your written content, like your blog posts, they're typically useful in the aware and consider stage, in the beginning stages when this customer knows nothing about your brand. Remember the researchers, you see how everything is just it's connected. Okay. So when they don't know about your brand and they're trying to understand who you are and see if they can trust you, this is what this type of content is for. Then you have the visual and infographic. You can decide to post however many times a week, okay? Where you're simplifying information, you're going from the heavy content blog post format into easy peasy, easy to find and easy to see content, and you're breaking it down. This portion is still the aware portion, okay? Now, the social aspect is not part of the customer journey. It's just to let you know that this is good for social media, okay? Then when we're talking about long form video, like YouTube type long form, even Instagram takes long form these days, depending on who you're trying to talk to. This is the point where you're trying to retain people because long form is not for short attention span folks. It is not for people who are just trying to know who you are. This is now for the people who know who you are and they already know what you talk about, so they're interested in what you have to say. So those are the people that long form content work for. Then the opposite of that would be short form, which makes sense that aware is part of this, but also the people who are already aware of your brand and you want to consistently keep them aware, which will be the retained portion of things. You want to give them bite-sized, quick information as well that they can now use now that they are well familiar with your brand. And this is the entertainment side of things. When you already know a brand, you know everything that they do, you know what they're all about, and what keeps you there is the ability of that brand to be able to entertain you as much as they are educating you. Okay, so these are some of the content types and the way they interact and the way you can attribute them to the different stages of the customer journey and the different audience. Okay, in the respective audience rather. So again, these are examples. There are so many other content types, but I trust that at this point, I've given you examples. You can start to decide and think for this particular content type. I strongly believe that this is going to be the stage of the customer journey that perfectly aligns with it. That is how I want you to now start thinking. And as you're putting together your marketing campaign, go off of these content types that I've shared with you. Give me something new and fresh so I know that You're not just digesting information, but you truly, truly understand this concept that I'm teaching you. Okay. Then we have the content repurposing engine. And this is beautiful because if you've been working for the same company for 5 years, why are we creating for an event that we know occurs every year? Why are we always creating new graphics for it? Why can't we repurpose the old one? Why do we keep reinventing the wheel when we can just use the same wheel and give it a touch up? If you have a full blog post, out of that blog post, you could have like 5 to 10 social media posts from it because long blog posts are typically long, remember. So if you have a 15-minute YouTube video, why can't we get like 15 1-minute Instagram reels from that? Repurpose it. This is how strategy comes into play because for people who are just creating, they probably would not think of this. But when strategy is incorporated, you start to see the other ways that you can consistently post. And people complain, oh, I don't know what to post. I don't know what to post. And you have several blog posts and you don't know what to post. Really? Uh-huh. For you guys going through the Sam Life Digital School program, that should not be the case because you know exactly what to post, you know how to repurpose, your thinking faculty is different because you understand strategy. So when it comes to repurposing, from that pillar content, and pillar content are typically blog posts, YouTube videos, you can repurpose into Instagram posts, TikTok clips, email series, LinkedIn posts, Pinterest graphic, podcast episode, so just from one YouTube video. Let's not even add blog posts to it. And then you have X tweets as well. So you should never run out of content. That's my point here. So the final project tip that I have for you with this presentation here is that I want you to create one high quality blog post in for your campaign. You may not be able to do a video because that's asking for too much, but write one long blog post, and out of that blog post, repurpose to 3 to 4 different channels. Again, I'm saying 3 to 4 because there's a particular module where I actually tell you exactly what I need from you for the project. But I'm telling you all of these things that I need from you throughout the modules so you can start, so you don't wait until the last minute. Do you understand? Okay. So now this is a busy slide, but we're going to talk through it. Okay, so don't worry. Storytelling for brands. Why is this important? Storytelling is super important when it comes to branding and product. If you're trying to sell a product, you're trying to sell a service, storytelling is very important. Because yes, I could tell you all the facts in the world. Like we can all tell one another why our businesses and brands are the best in the world. You can give me the fact. However, stories, emotion, when you start to evoke emotion in people, that is what drives action. And there are 3 different frameworks that I wanted to share, that I would like to share with you with this. So everything that you're seeing on this screen boils down to 3 different frameworks. Okay, keep that in mind. So you have the hero's journey, you have the problem, agitate, solve framework, then you have the before, after bridge framework. 3 different frameworks, okay? So the first one, the hero's journey framework, is the type of framework where your customer, your ideal audience, is the hero on this journey. And your brand, you're the guide. You're the one leading them on the journey. So your hero, they have a problem. They find your product as the guide, and they're transformed. For you guys, you're the customer in the Sam Life Digital School journey. Our solution, the product here, is the Sam Life Digital Skills training. And then by the time you're done with our program, you're transformed. But then we have to be able to tell the story in a way that is just not presenting fact, but we're actually telling a story. So the formula here that you can see on the screen is, for example, Ruth was exhausted. She was losing muscle for a healthcare company now. She was losing muscle. She was feeling older than 35. And I'm saying this in a video. Let's say I recorded a reel where I'm actually talking about this. So I'm telling the story. Then Ruth discovered Sam Life. Of course, I'm going to say it and finesse it and make you feel like, oh my gosh, you're Ruth right now. So tell the story in a way that the customer if another customer that fit into my audience persona, they can relate with that story, and it makes them want to buy whatever product that we're selling. Then you have the second framework, which is the problem, agitate, and solve, where you're identifying the pain point of your audience. You make it feel urgent and real. Like, if you don't buy it now, you're going to die. If you don't buy this product now, you're going to lose like $10,000 tomorrow. It's that urgent. And then you present your solution that will prevent them from losing that much money today. And a lot of copies, they use this framework where you have a problem, you agitate, you aggravate the person to make a decision to buy now. It's like us saying, if you don't register for the Sam Digital Skills training today, you're not going to be able to get any jobs tomorrow because AI is going to take over your role. So you need to register today so you can learn how to maneuver the current AI revolution. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So a lot of people use this problem, agitate, solve. Like, I identify I know what your pain point is. I know you don't want AI to take your job because you're hearing from everywhere that AI is taking over people's job, and it is. It's real. So we present the solution, but in a real way that you don't have a choice but to make a decision. All right. Then finally, we have another framework, which is the before after bridge framework, where you show life before your product and you show life after, and how your product acts as the bridge between the two. And we do this too by sharing testimonials from our students. They let the audience know where they were before SDST, where they were after, and we bridge it by telling the SDST story in between. So these are three different frameworks. You pick one for your marketing campaign, for your final project. Pick one, stick with it, and sell it beautifully. Regardless of whichever you use, I cannot wait to see the excellence that you deliver. Okay, I really look forward to it. So now, remember content calendar and consistency. I know that, oh, no, not too fast. Where are we going? Come on, come on, come on, come on. No. You're moving too fast. I'm sure that you guys have learned this in content creation or somewhere else. But if you're trying to be consistent when it comes to content marketing and pushing out content, part of your content strategy is to put together a content calendar. And please, for your marketing campaign, absolutely add a calendar. Be it depending on how long your campaign is going to run for, give me the full calendar for it, including blog posts, including YouTube videos, including social media posts and the particular social media platform, Instagram Reel. Like, be detailed. You don't have to use all the social media platforms. Remember, it has to be tailored to your audience and your goal. Remember? Okay. But I need to see your calendar too. But my point here with this slide is to let you know that when you have a calendar and you stick to it, because you could have a calendar and you don't use it, that's also another problem. But with your calendar, you use your calendar, it helps you to be consistent in this content marketing game. Okay. And the good thing is, if you can spend a day or two or three to develop all the content on your calendar, there are several other tools now to schedule. So you don't even have to worry about having to post in real time. On Instagram, you could literally schedule it automatically. Facebook, LinkedIn, without even using a third-party tool. Yes, I've shared some third-party tools with you guys here on the screen, but you don't even have to use them because most platforms these days, now you could auto-schedule content. Even on your website, auto-scheduling is an option and it's free. All of these to keep you consistent and to ensure that you're consistently posting, because the more you post, the more people are aware of your brand, the more you stay relevant, and then it helps with your conversion too. So now, AI assisted content creation. Remember I said, yes, now I want my students to use AI because I don't have a choice. Okay. And even with it helps me in my daily work, in the business, in other aspects of my life. And as you can see, even building a full website. So yes, I agree with it, but you have to use it responsively. And I do not want AI to replace your creativity. And the good thing is, as a strategist, you should have an idea of what you want. AI is going to give you what it thinks you want. But when you know what you want and it's not giving you what you want, you can tailor it to what you want by properly prompting. And that's what we call prompt engineering. You might want to take that course too, because a lot of people don't know how to prompt AI to get the desired result. That's a problem. So if you want to eh, keep your job, you need to be able to use AI and prompt it creatively to get the desired result. So what AI does well, it drafts your content for you, rephrase content for different platforms, it gives you headline options and all these different things that I have here on the screen. But what you need human help with is the authenticity. AI is very generic. Like when you can spot AI a mile away because it's the same language, same old, same old. But the human feel is when you bring the authenticity into it and you fact check, because almost every AI platform will tell you, well, the information they're giving you is not always accurate. It's a disclaimer that they give you. So believe it at your own risk. AI will not always be emotional. So you have to bring in the emotional and cultural context to what the information that you're getting. Real customer stories and testimonials, AI is not going to add that for you. You have to do it yourself. Strategic decisions like what to make for whom and why, the human aspect. So I'm saying all of this to say, even with AI taking all over and being everywhere, there's still the place for the human. And these are the different places that you can come in and show your relevance even today. And for the final edit, we need a human being for that too, at least for now, until something changes. Okay. Oh, guys, I feel so stuffy. Pray for me. My goodness. I don't know how I've been able to power through all along, but all for you. Okay. My joy is to see you continue to do very well. And come rain, come sunshine, sick or not, this job has to be done. And my joy, once again, is to see you thrive. So, how do you responsibly use AI? Yes, healthcare content as an example, but this is also for every other industry. Make sure that as AI is drafted, you are the one approving, review everything. Don't just take AI's word for it. Go through every single thing that it says. Fact check every single claim. If it gives you a link, click the link and make sure it doesn't lead somewhere else that is irrelevant, because it does that. Disclose that AI was used where required, because you want to be very honest as well. If you need to disclose it, please disclose it. Right? Because again, transparency is important. And remember, your voice is the brand. Everybody is sounding like AI these days. You open somewhere, it's like whether this or that, you know, and you know the different AI language and whatnot. You want to make sure that you are sounding like you and you're not sounding like AI. Your voice is what's going to make the difference. Your voice is going to be the why people will listen to you, and not this other brand that is always sounding like AI. Okay? So make sure you're using AI responsibly. That is my point with this. So finally, as we begin to wrap up, when you're prompting AI for content, right, this is what I want you to use. I want you to use this formula. This works. I've tested it several times. It does work. Use the craft prompt formula. I told you to learn prompt engineering, but this is your first intro to prompt engineering. Okay, so what is the craft formula? The craft formula is context, role, action, format, and tone. So each time I'm telling AI to do something for me, this is what I do. Like, I tell AI who I am or who I want it to be. Okay, so who I am, who I want it to be, which would be the role, what do I want it to do for me, in what format, and what tone. And I've given you different examples here for you to take your cue so you can understand what I'm saying. And it's just like I'm giving you a theory, it's practical. For example, I'll read one of the examples here, you can read the rest. Blog intro prompt. So I'm going to say I'm a healthcare content writer for Sam Life, a supplement brand targeting male athletes aged 25 to 45. Write a 150-word blog intro for a post titled, give the title, let the tone be educational, empathetic, not alarmist. I give it the audience, end with a hook that makes them want to keep reading. Very detailed. So always use if you want to get desired result, always use the craft formula whenever you're using AI for content. Okay. And then finally, for your final project application, again, as you begin to work on it, have a content strategy document. Yeah. Okay. And then start to put together your content samples because you're going to need it. I have it here as a recommendation to put together a 4-week content calendar, but you get to decide how long you want your campaign to run for. This is just an example. Okay, so this just summarizes everything that you've learned. Okay, choosing your strategy document, how to go about it, the type. I've given you examples of content, some of content types that you could include. Okay, so at this point, I strongly believe that you can plan content with intent and not guesswork, and that you'd also use AI responsibly. Now we're going to be moving over to one of my favorite topics in the entire marketing world, search engine optimization, and how to get found online. So that will be our next module. But until then, keep working on your final project. If you have any questions, questions, you know where to find me. Until then, keep working.